What's the weirdest thing you have ever walked in on? Story 1. Once I walked into my 9-year cousin's room and saw him completely covered under his blanket, breathing heavily. As soon as I came in, his head came out of the blanket and he looked at me kinda ashamed. I thought he was experimenting, so BC, I'm only 20 myself. I said that it's no problem to discover his body and that it's completely normal. He looked at me in visible confusion and pulled out his DS under the blanket. Turned out that I just thought my 9-year cousin was playing with his body, while he really was trying to beat the Bowser Castle, while he should do his homework. Story 2. My mom walked in on my friend and me playing with each other's breasts. Not in an adult way. We were laying on our sides and noticed our boobs got all squished. So we stuck a hand in between each other and made him clap. Mom walked in, saw us, and said, "Okay then." I tried to explain and she put her hand up and said, "I don't even want to know." Then she shut the door and walked out. Story 3. I caught my 7 and 5-year-old daughters once with no clothes on playing with a video camera. I asked them what was going on. They said, "Don't worry, Papa. We're making a YouTube video." Story 4. When I was a kid, we had a family reunion in Oklahoma for a few days. One night, I got tired of laying awake in my sleeping bag and went to find my cousins. They were crowded around a dead snake, as one of the older girls was mid-dissection. There was blood everywhere, considering they had just recently killed the snake and the muscles were still twitching. She told me she had done this 1,000,000 times, and was practicing for when she became a vet. I just went back inside. Story 5. Walked in on a girl's father standing idly in front of the refrigerator in nothing but a pair of aged white briefs. I was 16 and not very socially experienced, particularly regarding dads in underwear, so I panicked and held up my hand to shield my own view and said something like, "Ah," and walked back into the garage. Her parents made me go home and I never went back to her house again. Story 6. Probably my dad blow drying his pubes in the mirror. My mom absolutely lost it cracking up and I can never get the image out of my brain no matter how hard I try. Story 7. I worked as a state police officer, glorified security officer, at a state-run mental facility for the criminally insane. Basically, everyone that wasn't mentally fit for prison was there due to abuse of alcohol or narcotics. While doing rounds at 2 a.m. I heard sounds coming from a double occupancy room. Seeing patients blasting rope or having intercourse is not uncommon, so I figured that's what was happening, but as per protocol I had to investigate and tell them to knock it off. I enter the room to see 2 gentlemen spooning each other in each other's back hole with plastic spoons, going at it like they're enjoying some chocolate pudding snack packs. I don't miss that job. Story 8. Oh boy, do I have a good one. My mom and I had a huge joint party for our 15th and 50th birthdays with tons of our friends over at our apartment's clubhouse. I left the main scene to take some of my pals up to my room to show them my pet guinea pig, Squeakers. I opened the front door to my apartment with my friends in tow, and opened it without knocking because hey, it was my house. To my surprise, when I walked in, the living room was full of nude old ladies. Now, I knew that my mom had joked about getting her friends together to take pictures of them without clothes for her 50th. I did not know that this was the appointed time and place for the said photoshoot. But there they were. My mom and her best friends, some of whom were moms of friends, one of whom was my former teacher, in their birthday suits carrying around big fake flowers and feather boas and cupcakes and taking pictures of each other. Not a bra nor panty in sight. I stood there dumbstruck for a second when one of the ladies waved at us and called out, "Oh hi there girls. Come on in." I made a weird panicked noise, slammed the door, and sat on my welcome mat paralyzed with a hysterical uncontrollable laughing fit for like 5 minutes. It's not that I have a problem with various people's naked moms in my living room, but it was a big surprise. My friends thought it was hilarious for a while and then shut up about it. But all of those ladies apologized to me for that incident for years. Like, let it die gals. I don't need to be actively reminded of that moment every time we meet. Story 9. When I was 11 or 12 I walked in on my older brother masturbating. His back was turned, so luckily all I saw was his ass. As I walked in on him I saw his mattress falling back into place, so being the curious child I was, I went to see what was under his mattress on a later day when he wasn't home. I was hoping for porn, cause growing up in the 90s in a religious household meant it was super hard to come by, but no. What I found was much, much worse. I found about 4 dozen little zip-top snack baggies full of his DNA. Story 10. One night I and my roommate watched Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny, and we specifically laughed at how funny the cock push-ups were. A few days later I walk into the dorm and his pants are down and he's flat on his belly with his arms reaching forward Superman style. He gets startled and nervously yells, "Oh hey, what's up?" and pulls up his pants. Pretty sure he was attempting the special push-ups. Story 11. When my kids were very young, 4 and 3 years old, I would bathe them together. One day I left the room for a minute and on my way back I could hear cackling laughter coming from the bathroom. I sneak up to the door and see the 4-year-old on all fours, pointing his butt at the 3-year-old, who was behind him with his index finger extended as if he was going to poke his brother right in the butthole. The 4-year-old said, "Go on. Touch it," and as the 3-year-old moved his finger closer, the 4-year-old farted. They both cackled like mad. They didn't bathe together after that. Story 12. Not me, but a story from my ex. When I was working at a grocery store, my ex worked in produce and we had a co-worker that was really nice but something just seemed off about him. Well, one night, my ex is walking back to their back room and this guy is just standing there, his back facing the wall and his pants were down around his ankles. My ex says, "Hey buddy, what are you doing?" And the guy completely freezes. Then puts a watermelon down to the side. My ex notes the watermelon has a hole in it. He was doing it with a watermelon. Story 13. When I was a kid I lived with my dad in a loft as roommates with a woman with 2 children living with her. The garage had a leather couch. My dad and I walked into the garage one night to find the eldest boy, in his teens, humping the cushions of the couch. I did not understand the appeal or the reason, but I remember wondering how long the image would stick with me. Story 14. I have 8 siblings, so I've seen far too many things I wish I'd never seen. The first one that comes to mind is the time I went into the kitchen and my little brother was on all fours, wearing nothing but a pink belt around his midsection and a pair of my mother's shoes, face down in the cat's food dish, eating its food. Story 15. This was way back when my siblings and I still lived with our parents. I once walked in on my sister who had just gotten out of the shower. Everything was chill until the toy she had just been using fell out of her vagina. She later told me she didn't have enough time to hide it. The only thing I could think to say was, "I'm scarred for life," and I ran out. Edit, for all of you sick people in the comments, I'm female too. We shared a room. No, she not wearing a towel. Story 16. Was at a friend's place with around 67 of our other friends for New Year's and had to take a shit. Walked into the bathroom to discover my one friend with his finger inside our other friend's mom. Proceeded to call him AMF for the next 2 months. Story 17. Walking in the woods when I was a kid and got to the playground where I was going to wait for a friend to play. Walked up to see a guy who was happily tied to the tire swing laughing and saying, "I am the prisoner," to nobody specific. I have him a wide berth to see who I guess was his friend sliding down the slide head first and leaving a trail of what I guess was shit behind him. I walked to my friend's house and watched Ultraman without saying a word about what I saw. Story 18. While working in the ER, a patient got a toy lost up in the rectum. Instead of surgery, the ER doctor attempted to remove it. He is an experienced ER doctor, with probably 30 plus years in the ER and has seen everything. He'd saved the patient from surgery and would be able to leave that night. The patient was sedated with pretty powerful sedatives and the procedure began. I'm down the hall and I hear screaming, so I briskly jog over to the room and walk in. What I see is a 70-year-old doctor's elbow deep in some man's rectum. It looks like he was a ventriloquist with a 200-pound doll performing a horror show. The man was screaming in a half stupor. He wasn't conscious but certainly wasn't unconscious. The doctor was yelling, "More propofol, push it now." The patient ended up going to surgery to get the toy removed. Story 19. Not me, my husband. He used to work nights cleaning carpets in large office buildings. He'd go, usually with one other guy, and they'd work, each cleaning one floor separately at a time. He's usually totally alone in big empty buildings and certainly doesn't knock on closed doors or anything. So he's working along, one office after another, opens the door to the next office and there's a woman sprawled out without clothes on a desk with a guy just giving it to her. It takes him a minute to process what's happening. She sees him and just starts screaming her head off. The guy whips around and starts yelling, but my husband's already got the door shut and is booking it down the hall as fast as he can drag his equipment. His co-worker heard the woman screaming from whatever floor he was on and comes running. Turns out they were carrying on an affair and worked late, after everyone else cleared out. The best part was that my husband had to call security to go and get them and escort them off the premises because the cleaning company was supposed to ensure only their own employees were there at night. He said the now with clothes guy was pissed. That's one hell of a walk of shame. Still makes me laugh when he tells it. Story 20. I work in a hotel, and a guest asked for a coffee maker to be brought up as we didn't have them in every room. I knocked on the door a couple of times, as we're supposed to do, and didn't hear a response, so I cracked the door open a bit to see a stark naked man with one of those leather-looking dog masks. I just froze for what felt like 8 minutes and closed the door. I just left the coffee maker outside the room. Writing that last part reminded me of this, so I guess my reply is a bit of a 2-for-1 special. I walked into the employee bathroom, which does lock, so if the handle turns I assume it's free and clear, once and walked in on a coworker completely naked, sitting on the toilet with all their clothes strewn about the bathroom floor. He and I haven't made eye contact in about a month and a half.
You can share your own story in the comments below.